Welcome to James Hates Everything and another Saturday night live stream. And today we're going to bring you the quick news and then dive in to the AtGames Legends Ultimate 4K. Whatever happened to that thing and can it be saved? Let's get right into it. All right, guys, before we get started, I just want to give a quick hello to everyone in the chat. I see Thumper Squid dropping by. We have Fourth Horseman, Gramps Arcade, Skids, B. Kirby, Damian Williams, Jim the Pacers fan, Marine 50, Pagshim, Biggie D's Arcade, PD7. Thanks for joining us, Phil. Always enjoy your Saturday night streams. The Real Zim, Julio Hernandez, our burgers in the house. Calvin Wong's here. Julio Hernandez, Saved by Zero. Of course, moderator extraordinaire, Jason Lil Alien, the Cornercade, Meatball Saucy, who is a big fan of the ALU HD. And that's everybody. Of course, appreciate it again, guys. Really love hanging out. Look forward to Saturdays and hanging out with y'all and talking about all this fun goodness. So let's go ahead and bring up some quick news. And as soon as I get the fun overlays and all that crap set up. So first we are going to do is dive into the latest Switch rumors. You guys may have seen this, that apparently the Switch 2 pre-order price has leaked online. We see here it says Nintendo has officially unveiled the Nintendo Switch 2, its next generation gaming console, during video reveal on January 16th. The announcement marks a significant milestone for the company's handheld gaming strategy. The new console features a slick all-black design with signature blue and red accents. Key design improvements included. Nintendo Direct presentation. While the first look trailer provided initial insights, many details remain undisclosed. Nintendo has confirmed that the Switch 2 will support both physical and digital games from the previous generation, though some older titles may have limited capability. Price speculation is currently circulating with various sources suggesting different price points. An Italian retailer, and this is today's big news, Games and Movies, has listed a pre-order price of €364.99 or approximately $383 US, which could indicate a potential US pre-order price of around $350. Other sources suggest a launch price closer to $449. However, industry analysts cautions that these prices might be preliminary placeholders. And of course, the article goes on and on and on. So for some reason, this is big news today. And quite honestly, I'm a bit perplexed. Why is this big news today when this same news dropped on the 17th? It's interesting to me that suddenly what gets picked up and run around the net, what gets talked about when it does. Of course, I think specifically the new pictures from that Italian site is what picked up and elevated this story. But as you can see here, there was a Redditor that shared this information over a week ago at this point, almost 10 days ago. He says, after much anticipation, Nintendo unveiled the Switch 2. First look trailer. The upcoming console features a larger display than its predecessor, redesigned Joy-Cons, reduced bezels, and several other significant enhancements. Additionally, the company has confirmed that users will have the ability to play exclusive Switch titles, blah, blah, blah. While the device launch, blah, blah, blah. We'll skip all that. Get down here to get through all this. Okay, so this is about, for instance, recently a post on r/Nintendo Switch 2 subreddit has garnered significant attention as it purports to provide reliable information regarding the pricing and pre-order specifics of the Switch 2. The post features a screenshot of a Discord chat with an individual who asserts that they are an employee of Micromania, a French retail establishment. The person states their store is preparing to accept pre-orders for the Switch 2, which is priced at 399 euros or $410 US. The individual also shared details regarding the pricing. What just happened? There we go. uh, game regarding the pricing of game cartridges, reporting that the storefront has obtained a list of 25 potential games for the console. Notably, their prices range from 69 euros or 71 US to 79 euros or 81 US. So, in other words, $69 or $79, which is basically what we see them at today already, right? So, uh, for those prices to continue, I can see the 79 ones being the larger games that come on the new SD Express. So there we go. So that's our big news on the Switch front, that apparently people think it's going to come in at around 399. You're going to have games anywhere from 69 to 79. Honestly, the current Switch is what, 299, and the OLED, isn't the OLED like 349? So we're talking another $50 for the Switch 2. That honestly to me seems low. Uh just $100 over the base unit and only $50 over the OLED. I mean, it's possible that's what they'll do, thinking maybe consumers only want are willing to accept a $50 increase. But I would not be surprised if this ultimately doesn't come in at around 499 or 449 at the lowest. But we'll see. I mean, I hope it's only 399. That would be awesome. But I won't hold out hope. With all the talk of tariffs and every other thing. Obviously, we're seeing like the price of basic goods going up again, with eggs and stuff like that are really getting expensive again for some damn reason. But with the tariffs looming and all that, I would be shocked that this thing comes out at 399, but you never know. 450, 500 does seem more plausible to me. But that's the Switch news. So don't want to spend all day on that. It's not that big a deal. This next one, I think, this next story is it's much more concerning. And it signals, I think, the end that we all knew was coming and just hasn't officially really been there. And that is the announcement that Sony is halting production of recordable Blu-ray media. About a year ago, Sony had halted production of consumer recordable or writable Blu-rays, and now they're announcing that they're doing the same thing for businesses. They're also dumping mini discs, mini DV cassettes, all of those things. Beginning February, just a month from now, or just a week, really a week from now, all of that stops, and Sony will no longer be making recordable or writable storage, physical storage. So that's a concern. I think really Sony's the only one still making physical games outside of the Switch physicals, which are coming on like SanDisk and flash drives or SD cards. All these games that for Xbox, Sony PlayStation, those all come on Blu-ray. And with Sony clearly, stepping up what they're shutting down production wise, physical media is over. I mean, it's going to take some sort of elaborate innovation that really drives down the cost to produce physical media while upping the amount of storage you can put it on there. And unfortunately, you will own nothing, and like it is sooner than we think. Obviously, PC games fell to physical long time ago with the release of Steam. Um, you know, us retro collectors who believe in media preservation and keeping these games around and protected for future generations, we're now staring at the reality of what the big giant corporations want, which is you a permanent rental status for your video games and you will own nothing. And when they decide to pull it for whatever reason, whether that be licensing or they just don't like you anymore, these are going away. So that is unfortunate, I think. I think this is a big turning point in reality. So we'll see. So that's the sad news for for the day. So let me stop sharing that and let's grab our next fun little bit of story. Yeah, Meatball HD DVD is back, baby. Let's see. There we go. All right. This is a fun one. If you've been following my community posts, I posted about this one. Hopefully I just shared the sound. Let me stop sharing and reshare because I want to make sure you got well, actually I don't need the sound. What am I talking about? What am I talking about here? All right. So this is, of course, one of our infamous Arcade One Up reels. Instagram, TikTok, you name it. You know what Arcade One Up does now. They don't talk to this community. They don't make new arcade games for this community. They post TikTok reels. And here they are sharing a reel from I don't know because I don't see it. It's not from Infinity Game Table. It's not from Arcade One Up official. Not quite sure where they got this video, but here's a video of a couple building their own custom board games. So let's take board game table. So let's take a look. I mean, look at that thing. That is pretty slick, right? They're here playing their Harry Potter Monopoly. They got this nice wood table with their storage trays and everything for game night. This looks like a total blast. So, wait, let's go back. Let's watch this again. So, what did Arcade One Up do? They took their video and they said, "Oh, look at this." Dang it. And then they overlay on the top of their video a cheesy ass advertisement for the Infinity Game Table. So they hijack somebody's TikTok video or their Instagram reel, don't credit them from what I can tell, and then go over the top with the Infinity Game Table. Like, what the hell? Like, it's one thing for Arcade One Up to go out here and use TikTok and Instagram for marketing, whatever. Like they're going after the wrong target audience, in my opinion. But hey, they're a bunch of Gen Zers running that company. That's fine. Whatever. You do you. But I kind of draw the line at actually stealing somebody's content, not really crediting them. I think it says somewhere in there it's a sequence with WVM wood something dot 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 and it's cut off. Uh really, like you take somebody's hard work of building this really awesome classic gaming table, very cool for all kinds of board games, whether that just be the Monopoly they were playing or more elaborate stuff like D&D and Warhammer and all this stuff, and you throw your shitty ass Infinity Game Table over the top of it and act like and you just slice it in there. You don't even tell anybody. You're not even juxtapositioning it. You're making it look like they built that Infinity Game or that big ass wooden table to put the Infinity Game Table on it. That ain't what happened. This is ridiculous. This is why Arcade One Up is dying and sucks, in my opinion. Like, I don't know what is going on over there, but somebody needs to make Arcade One upgrade again because they certainly aren't doing it. And with that, let me get rid of all this crap. That brings us to the main point of the show tonight. And so I got to get all this crap ready. That's right. We are talking about, let's see, how do I want to do this? Like this? Good enough. We're going to talk about the ALU 4K in just a minute. So let's see. What do we got here? Looks like a total ripoff. It absolutely was. It's cool you have one of those recessed gaming tables. They are a ton of fun. I used to have a really nice poker table similar to that, but stopped when I stopped playing poker. Got rid of that when I moved. And Mike says, feels like a Cyrus move indeed. Uh, hello, Sergeant. Thanks for joining us. And Steps is asking the question, why would John D want to put his name on the AtGames 4K? Well, that is a great question. And she says, I sure as hell wouldn't. Right. And that's the hypothetical question we're asking tonight is, could John D be the savior of the Infinity game team? Jesus Christ, where's my mind? Of the AtGames Legends 4K. So you guys remember this thing, right? It was like nearly a year and a half ago that we heard this thing was coming. In fact, we were told this was going to be up for pre-order towards the beginning of 2024. We're nearly a year later. Thanks for dropping by, Brooklyn and MG. And no Power Rangers tonight, no games tonight. We're all business, baby. So everybody remembers this, and we know we've covered this in a prior Saturday Night Live stream where we talked about the disappointing sales of the AtGames Legends Pinball 4K. It's a product I love. I know lots of other people enjoy it, but unfortunately at the time it had only sold about 1,500 units. And that's being essentially AtGames major product for the entire year. Something they've built their relationship with Zen Studios and Magic Pixel all around, and it's just not moving enough units. We saw lots of different moves towards cash grabs or desperation in selling that table, such as the 0% interest, the lower cost starter edition, lots of things, cutting off the making you charge extra for the OTG, things like that. Lots of moves to help reduce the barriers to entry for that. And in doing so, they also halted or indefinitely delayed the ALU 4K. And as we now enter 2025, we still have no information around the ALU 4K. If you guys can remember, this is what this thing is supposed to look like. This is the design, the physical design that Michael B came up with, right? We can thank Michael B, the Game Genie, for squaring off the edges from that old ALU HD. And then we got this kind of hybrid Killer Instinct thing with lots of purple lightning and I don't know, what is that? Orange sunsets, whatever. It's ugly. Nice to see you, Joe Cade. Zod Rider, thanks for dropping by. Hopefully I'm not missing anybody else as they're jumping in. But you guys remember this. This is not a very attractive machine. But here it is, right? This is Michael B's big design, right? He helped save this thing, or allegedly. So, here I wanted to share kind of here's what the original ALU looks like compared to the ALU 4K. And what you'll notice is essentially they're the same machine for all intents and purposes. All they've really done is kind of carved out, squared off the top of that unit. They didn't make any improvements to the deck. We're looking at the same width, the same height, the same depth, pretty much an identical design. They just squared it off a tiny bit. But again, we still have that really, really ugly artwork. And Scaredy Cat says, I wish someone sold different sides for the ALU so we could make the shape better. That's exactly right. So it's no secret that around here I have really not been a fan of the ALU, and I know many of you love the ALU, and I'm not want to discount the enjoyment you get from it. For me, it's really ugly. I don't like the ALU shape. I don't like the weird flat control panel, even though I recognize Arcade 1-Up also has a bunch of weird, ugly, flat control panels. The side art is really terrible, in my opinion. Just like with Arcade 1-Up, I'm not a fan of throwing all the stupid labels on the front. So they've tried to improve that with the new unit, right? They got rid of the logos. They tried to make better art, but man, it might even be worse than the original. This Killer Instinct art is not so great. That is because the shape is also ugly. And part of that comes from the fact that they're trying to shave depth, I guess, because there's not a CRT in there. You're using a flat panel. So they're saying, why do we need to make this thing deep at all? And because part of it is the aesthetics. We buy these arcades because we like the way arcades look. If we just wanted a TV and a control panel, we can do that a million other ways. So I posed a question in the Arcades Anonymous Discord earlier when some people were talking about the ALU, and I asked these questions. What is the key selling point? Why should I buy the ALU 4K? And Meatball Saucies, who's in the house, he made an interesting point. And here you see the ALU HD's control panel, and you see the ALU 4K's control panel. And Meatball Saucy tells me, well, it's the only control panel on the market that has 8 buttons, 2 joysticks, 2 spinners, and a trackball. So basically, and of course, the pinball buttons on the side. So essentially, you have the controls, a one controller to rule them all, both for retro and modern games. That's an interesting and valid point. So I wanted to pay some recognition here that there's a pretty differentiating factor that it's got 2 extra buttons that the ALU original didn't have. So I wanted to share that. So I got to get me out of the middle of this thing. How do we get there? We go. So as we look at the stats of the ALU versus the 4K, right? The ALU HD came with a 24-inch 16:9 monitor. Of course, the 2 joysticks, the 2 spins, the spinners, the trackball. Came with 300 licensed games, which included Aladdin, Asteroids, all that stuff. You got the connectivity to connect Wi-Fi, Ethernet. It came with some ArcadeNet for a free trial. You got the multiplayer, lobby, friends list, voice chat, global leaderboards, downloadable content, 16 gigabytes of system storage for enhanced performance, 7 pre-installed apps with 500 megabytes of video content. And let me go back to that other way so we can read this. It has pro-grade pinball buttons for digital pinball and costs $599.99. Of course, now we know if you get the CE edition, you also got to pay an extra $100 to get OTG and and another $100 for USB access, but you get it. That's what you got for $600. Now, as we move and take a look at the ALU 4K, what are we getting for that, right? It's basically double the price. The numbers I saw thrown around is this thing's going to be $1199.99 if and when it ever comes out. $1199.99, $1,200. Well, what do we get for that? We get higher storage. We go from 16 gigabytes to 64 gigabytes. in a time where storage basically costs nothing, why aren't they giving us way, 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 way more space? I don't know. We've got the Rockchip RK3588, which is a very powerful CPU for what it is. So we can play some higher end games. That's nice. Bit LCD marquee is included. That's huge. I think those are what, $200 or $300. So they're throwing that in. So that's nice. The dimensions of the cab are the same size as the HD. We've got 100 less games. We're going down to 200 built-in games. Of course, included in that 200 is KI 1 and 2 and Battletoads, as well as the rare pinball packs. So again, KI, Battletoads, and Sea of Thieves. We get a 3-inch larger monitor, 27-inch 4K LCD. So a little bit larger monitor in the same size frame. The nice thing about the larger monitor, at least when you're playing a 4-3 game, you're getting roughly a 19-inch screen there. So similar to an Arcade 1-Up or XL or an iconic Arcade XXL. Of course, probably for that $11.99, you're going to have to pay an extra $100 to OTG, an extra $100 for USB, driving this thing up potentially as high as $1,500. So that's kind of what we're looking at. That much extra for what you're getting. It's really, to me, seems like there's not a lot here. And not an ALU fan, so I'm not in the position as you guys that are. Is this compelling enough reason for you to jump on an ALU? And Step says, but James, you can do AtGames affordable financing. Yes, I'm sure you can get the affordable financing when it comes out. But this is kind of what we've seen from this thing. And, I don't know about you guys, but Zod says Rare should have signed with a different company. Yeah, because you would think with the KI deal, they have no choice. They have to release this thing, right? They've licensed it. They've promised Rare a certain amount of sales. You think this thing has to come out at some point. But the question will be, will anybody buy it? If people aren't buying the ALP in sizable numbers, why would they buy this? Are you guys like, tell me if I'm wrong, guys. I mean, throw one in the chat if you think this is a good deal and you're going to buy it. I don't want to discount it. I want to know if you think this is a good deal. I don't see it. And maybe I'm in La La Land, but I don't see it. And moreover, we've got a different landscape than in 2024. Maybe if this dropped January of 2024, AtGames could have moved some units. But what are we looking at this year, right? If you're in the market for a multicade, you got this thing staring at you. You've got the Glen Build-A-Cade FU, which is basically a retro arcade multicade gamer's dream. You've got an option of the FU edition with that rotatable 19-inch screen, so it will auto switch from horizontal to vertical. You've got the auto switch on the control deck for the gates, right? Auto gate switching from 4 and 8-way. Again, 2 controllers, 2 spinners, a trackball. Now it only has 6 buttons. It doesn't have the 8, but it does have 6. I don't know of many retro games that used 8 buttons. There are lots of 6 ones. I don't recall any retro games using 8. But, there are some more modern. I think once you start getting into the Dreamcast era, maybe there are some that are using 8, though I'm pretty sure the Dreamcast only had 6 as well. But as you get up into the maybe PS3, PS2, you're getting up into the 8 area, but not a lot, right? And so then you also got the options of the fact that this can also come with a 26-inch LCD monitor. So if bigger is better, you've got the 26-inch, which you can manually rotate vertical and horizontal. And of course, Glen knows what people like. It's also got the option of adding the bit LCD or the bit LED marquee. So you've got the same kind of marquee you can throw in this thing. And KFB with the super chat says, another news, Switch 2 is getting a new 3D Mario, Zelda remake, Mario Kart 9, Metroid 4 launching with the system. You know you're excited. Well, of course, all those first-party Nintendo games are awesome. And thanks for the super chat. And you know who else thanks you? This guy. Always happy when Glenn stops by to do a dance. Zod says, Glenn is the real deal. Indeed. In addition to the fact that it's also got a rock chip 3588, right? So you're rocking the same hardware as that ALU 4K. You've got the option of all these additional control panels. Of course, in this image, Glenn pictures his flight yoke, which is great for Star Wars. There are other ones coming out. He also pictures the SNK super sticks. So if you Akari Warriors, Frontline, Heavy Barrel, all those other rotatable games, look at that. A control panel just for that layout. And you guys all know you can get the addition to turn this into the Nintendo shape, where you can get art from people like Joe Sabos to make this thing look like an authentic Nintendo cab. So that's what you get. And you're getting this, at least the base option with the rotatable screen, that one control panel to rule them all, for under $1,000. Let's compare that again. Under $1,000 compared to what AtGames is coming out. And yeah, you'll be able to put other devices in here if you want. You don't have to just roll with his. You've got the ability to connect up your consoles, your Pis, your PC, anything else, just like the other one, but you're not having to pay $100 or more, over a $200 convenience fee to do so. It's just built right in. So man, if I'm in the market for a multicade, I don't see me buying the ALU 4K over Glenn's. I mean, you know, I just don't see it. So ALU 4K has to compete against something like this. Well, also this year, of course, you guys know, CES, it was officially announced, Iconic Arcade is dropping their XXLs. Not exactly multicades, but here is another large size arcade product dropping this year that people are excited about, that people are looking at putting their money into. These are $6.99. They come with licensed Capcom games. They're supposed to have better controls, 19-inch screens. Coming in, like I said, $6.99. So this is another product, one that is more arcade accurate, even though the art on these is arcade inspired. The front are arcade accurate. The sides are inspired by the original arcade art, but to make them look more modern and artistic, because you guys all know those Capcom cabs were all kits. It was basically just a small poster on the side. So Iconic has blown up those posters to make them more dynamic. And of course, the Street Fighter Alpha 2 version really looks amazing. A lot of people like this one. So again, another big product in the space at the same time as the ALU 4K and Glenn's FU Build-A-Cade. So man, two products, in my opinion, that are already ahead of the game when you're talking for 2025 arcades and where we might put our money. And then Zod kind of hinted at this earlier, and he had a great stream just before this where he was showing it off. We also have X Arcade, and I have to take a moment here to mention that X Arcade supplied me one of these units of the XR, or the arcade to TV XR, for review. I've done some videos on that in the past, so just so you guys know. But again, here is another kind of great control deck for multicade fans. It's got 8 buttons. It's got 2 joysticks. It's got a trackball. It's got those pinball buttons on the side. And you can connect it up to every console from Dreamcast to the Switch to the PS5 Pro. You've got the ability to connect it to PCs. You got the ability, which none of these other ones have, to connect it to VR. So you can Bluetooth it to your VR headset and play things like Arcade Time Capsule or Arcade Ranger and play arcades in virtual reality with this thing. Or you can just connect it up to a TV, like you also see here on the left, where you can have a 4K TV playing your 4K games or your 4K console games with a real arcade stick. And what does this cost? Well, right now this one costs $399, and that includes the adjustable stand. Or you can get just the control deck alone for $299. So again, now you're like, well, I already have a 4K TV. I already have a PC that are or a Pi or all these consoles, so I don't need to buy anything for that to play my games. So I could just have my dream multicade for $299 or $399. Again, how does the ALU compete like this? Yeah, it's not in a single form factor. It's not in that arcade box. But remember, guys, this is what that arcade box looks like. Like this, seriously, this isn't even attractive. So why would we want that in that box? I'm lost, right? I don't. That's why I'm asking these things, right? I don't understand what it is. Meatball says, I still have 4 ROMs to get working, but I have all the games and music for, Time Capsule 3.0. Excellent. Yeah, guys, Brooklyn Menace dropped a video for that late last night. If you haven't seen it, take a look. It is Dream Arcade. It's anything you could imagine. It is insane. It's like literally putting, we were talking about this on Zod Rider's stream, Galloping Ghost in your house and being able to go in and play any arcade game, whatever you want, right there. It's insane with the real cabinets, the real stuff. And the designer of this independent designer who's gone through and put in all that effort to get all those cabinets in there, to get all the track modes in there. So as you walk around, you get the ambiance of all the arcades. You can look at all the games, walk up to them, put your quarters in, right, and immediately you're playing the actual arcade ROM. And man, when you have the X Arcade or similar kind of control stick with VR, you are living the dream. And when this thing gets multiplayer where we can join each other in Time Capsule and we can all hang out and play, this thing is going to be insane, right? This is where we will hang out in this community, in my opinion. We'll all be in somebody's arcade time capsule, all hanging out, playing games, shooting the shit. It's going to be a blast. But we just need these guys to get there just a little closer to get that multiplayer experience working. But man, if you haven't seen it, guys, you owe it to yourself to check it out. Uh, Honestly, it's worth buying VR just for that. It's if you're an arcade fan like we all are, it's crazy. It's crazy cool. And and, and yeah, I had noticed in Zod because obviously I went to Galloping Ghost for the first time earlier this year when we went to the Chicago Pinball Expo, and I went to play one specific game. Of course, I wanted to play lots and lots of others, but I was dying to play that Beavis and Butthead beat 'em up that only exists at Galloping Ghosts. They have the one and only prototype, and it wasn't working. And many, many, many other games weren't working. And I can imagine if you've ever been there, how crowded it is, how hard it is to move around in there. It's really hard to work on anything. So at any one time, I don't know how many games are down in there, but you drop into Arcade Time Capsule and nothing's down. So it's pretty awesome. So why are we talking about this, right? I wanted to lay the groundwork of where the ALU is. What was promised, what we're supposed to be getting from arcade or AtGames, what AtGames is telling us it's going to look like, and what it's up against. Because, right, they're already struggling with the ALU, the ALP 4K, and the ALU with what it comes with what it looks like, and what it's up against. It's really, really entering the space at a bad time and with not enough there. And so I posed the question, could John D save the ALU 4K? And so why did I ask that? I'm going to stop sharing here for 1 second and I'm going to grab another share, and this one I do want to let's see. Well, crikey. Hopefully I didn't accidentally close it. No, I didn't. Why is this not in this list? Well, hopefully you guys can see it. Oh, this is why you need producers, I guess, right? So hopefully you guys will be able to hear this sound. I got it crank it up a bit. But I wanted to share this, right? Michael B had on John D, Bobby Vu, and D Mac on Monday for a great interview. If you guys haven't seen it, definitely recommend you go watch that when you get the opportunity. It's a great interview about the iconic arcade. They also had on Kevin from Spreetail. So if you're like me, I love the business side of these things. And it was pretty interesting to hear the comments he made about how well sales were going, etc. There are a couple clips in here I wanted to share. So let's start with this one. And if you guys can't hear when I hit play, put like a 0 in the chat. But I wanted to show this one. Maybe I'll throw closed captioning on just in case.
Was like, no, John, I don't need anything. This rumor is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's exactly what you said. But again, like it goes back to the theme. It really only takes one product to turn an entire company, entire line around. And look, other companies, if you just want to give what the fans want, it'll turn around your brand as long as you continue to go there. I've seen it happen so many times in the video game industry. Seen it at Capcom. I've seen it at AtGames. I've seen it so many places, right? So it's like I'm glad there's a lot of companies now in the space. It does breed quality, the competition, quote unquote. Breeds.
So so what was the point John Bacon, right? That one product, one that really touches a nerve, that really hits what people want. Sorry, that's probably coming through my mic too. I'll mute it next time. Which is good because it means you can hear the audio. Uh, really is saying one product can really change a company's direction. Of course, here they're talking specifically about Iconic Arcade. We guys all know the reputation of Iconic Arcade with those cheap, thin multicades up in Canada and in Europe. And here they are coming out with a kind of an arcade quality or better than arcade quality XXL cabinet, and suddenly they're the talk of the town. Everybody's like, oh, Iconic Arcade this, Iconic Arcade that. And that's because of Media One Up and DMAX PR and all these things where Bobby Vu's design and everything he can do around building arcade cabinets and custom arcades, all these people coming together who know what people want, and immediately Iconic Arcade is on the map. And so he's saying here, all it takes is really one product to really turn things around, give you a home run, and really put you back on the map. And so here's another clip I wanted to share because this is along the same line. So I'm going to mute myself real quick.
working with other companies. So do you see an opportunity for your company to work, possibly either of your companies to work with Arcade 1-Up again in the future?
Yeah, I think
I
both
do.
of us are open to it. Yeah. When I parted ways with Arcade 1-Up back in September, I immediately knew I wanted to stay in the business of our home arcades and video games. And so that's when I made it official that I was launching Arcade PR, which is specifically a marketing firm supporting video game companies. And so, as you mentioned, Iconic Arcade is one of them. My Arcade's another. I'm working with a software development agency, not an agency, a publishing studio. It's called The Mixed Games. They do.
All right, I got to unmute myself there. And so, right, so that I showed that second clip because it shows again, Media 1-Ups and Arcade PR, their new business model. These former Arcade 1-Up leaders who were ousted from Arcade 1-Up went out, created their own company because they knew what it would take to build a successful consumer product, one that was adopted by many people. Arcade 1-Up, say what you will about them, they sold 4 million arcade cabs, and that's largely due to the efforts of John D and DMAC, as well as Jerry Cummings and ThinkUp behind that. They are kind of the secret sauce that put Arcade 1-Up on the map. And here they are willing to kind of work with anybody. In fact, they're still willing to go back and work with the company that told them we don't need you anymore and help them. And it won right out. The first company they decide to work with is getting all kinds of attention, of course, in the home arcade space, but even outside of it, right? You got all kinds of attention at CES, even though they weren't on the show floor at CES. They had spots on CNN, CNET, Forbes. They got the Yanko Design Award for their product design on video games and the design of the cabinets. I mean, so they are making all kinds of news with what they're doing. And these guys are willing to go back and work with Arcade 1-Up. We know that Media 1-Up has been working with Unico. That's been public. Unico has talked about it. John was at IAPA there to talk to Unico and others. And so, he said repeatedly in this interview that his dream is to get all these companies building home arcade, bring more companies into the space because competition is good. Success, what is the saying? Like success raises all boats or whatever it is, so, that's what he's trying to do. And here we are at AtGames facing this competition. And we have John out there saying he's willing to work with these companies if they're willing to work with him. And so I think that is why I've asked that question and why I say, can John D save? Where am I going? Sorry. The ALU 4K. So let's remember what John D does, right? He's building these retro arcade cabinets that are a cross between a replica and a multicade. They're fully licensed. They're designed to give you that home arcade experience. So you buy multiple, not just one of these. He wants to sell you several of them from different companies so you can get different games and different experience with all those same kind of features. So if I'm AtGames and I say, look, we really want to do 4K, and so there's not really going to be a retro arcade game that fits a 4K monitor, right? You're not going to have a design that fits that wide screen that is totally retro. But if you still want that arcade vibe, why not go with a more modern arcade design so that it still fits overall? So I wanted to take a look. What do modern arcades look like? Talking specifically arcade games, not redemption machines, things like that. And so as you look at what's out there, right, we have this Minecraft arcade has this nice widescreen monitor to the control deck. It's got some booming sound right in front of you. Still got the marquee. This kind of is the shape of the AtGames ALU. So there's stuff like this. You've got the Buck Hunter Reloaded from Raw Thrills. Here's a more modern widescreen design. You can see the dynamic art on all these. Of course, you've got another Raw Thrills cabinet, the NBA Superstars, kind of a successor to NBA Jam. You've got the Midway NBA Jam and Blitz cabinet you can pick up. Again, it's TV on a pedestal with a control panel, but these are actual modern arcades with flat screens, right? That is right. This modern arcade equals pedestal and a flat screen. That's exactly right. And so why is AtGames trying to build a modern arcade and try and make it look like a retro arcade when it will never look like a retro arcade with what they're trying to do with it? Why not lean into the modern design and make this thing look awesome, right? Yeah, and they might not get Midway or Raw Thrills, but that's things John D can help get them, right? John D has those connections, and AtGames has a lot of their own licenses that they've worked out. And I don't mean copy these designs exactly. I'm saying look at the options that are out there to make a much better looking design. And then, this is something where John D and Bobby Vu can help them get a modern design that looks right and get the license to a cab. Now, they've got to use KI apparently because they probably licensed that and promised them. So that's a different problem they have to unwind. But there's one. But let's look at some other truly like multi-cades. And then there's one more real modern arcade in here on this next screen. And that is, of course, Asteroids Recharged. That's a real arcade you can buy. There's a more modern design. Again, not my cup of tea, but at least it's a real one. So, hey, doesn't AtGames have the Atari and Asteroids? They could go with a design like this. Then you have these other modern arcade multicades that somebody has put together. They're playing some retro games on here, but these designs look infinitely better than what AtGames is rolling with. These are all things you could see somebody coming up with. And then of course you've got this almost identical looking cab to the original ALU with the kind of the swan neck. But what they've done here is they've angled that control deck, right? They've given us much more dynamic art, a much more dynamic marquee. Again, they're probably not going to be doing this stuff, but they could take some inspiration from these designs. So if I was AtGames, I would probably hire somebody like Media One Up to help me go back and rethink from the ground up. The reason Media One Up has this horrible design for their ALU 4K is because they didn't want to leave customers behind. And that's admirable, right? They said, if you bought one of our other control panels, we want to make sure you can still use it. If you already bought a bit LCD, we want to make sure you can still use it in this cab. That's nice. I appreciate that. Customers appreciate that. But by God, the design sucks. Like, quite frankly, I think the design sucks. I think you'd be better off saying, hey, we appreciate you current customers. Just like with the ALU HD, we're going to continue, or ALP HD, we're going to continue to support the ALU HD, but we're going with a whole new design for the ALU 4K. We're going to make something that really, really looks good, that really stands out, that will attract customers into our ecosystem and allow us with our storefront, with our controls, with our better processing in 4K to really attract more customers. Because when you buy something, when a customer buys something, the first thing they do is buy it with their eyes, right? If you look at something and you're like, that's ugly, the shape's wrong, nothing seems right, you're not going to be looking to shill out your money for it. It doesn't matter, I think, how good things are under the hood. If it doesn't look good, you're not really going to buy it. There'll be some diehards that buy it, but you're not going to have a home run. You're not going to have a product that, quite frankly, right now AtGames needs. AtGames needs a home run. They need to be able to bring the cost down, get their ALU as cheap as possible. They're going to need to make it in a way that is attractive, that people want, that has licensed games that people want, and lean into it. And quite frankly, there's been nobody at AtGames, even with their Zen partnership and the ALP. Some of the tables look good, but a lot of them look like crap. I'm looking at you, Jurassic Park. Right? You know, their design still isn't where it needs to be in a lot of those things. And a lot of them are being dictated, I'm sure, by Zen a little bit. But some are okay, some are good. I love the recreation of the Attack from Mars. The Peanuts looks good. I think the Addams Family looks pretty good. It just doesn't match the game at all. It's like a totally different Addams Family, so the colors clash and they don't go together. But at least the design is good. But the rest of them kind of look kind of wonky, in my opinion. But that's besides the point. Like, they've proven that even on that, they can't get the design right. They need to go outside. They need to bring experts in. Let Media One Up or somebody else. But my opinion is they could work with somebody like Media One Up to bring in much better designers, help them reimagine the cab from the ground up with the guts that they have. They don't have to change the guts, but reimagine the design, the side art, everything, and start fresh. Because what they're showing us, what they've shown us, if that's what they end up releasing, they might as well never release it because it's going to be dead. And Thor disagrees with me. He says he likes the Jurassic Park. The side art sucks. The foliage front lacks imagination, but I think it looks good overall. So, hey, it's interesting because you say the side art sucks, which I agree, and the foliage is ridiculous. So, not sure what you like about it, but I appreciate it. It's not, for me, it's the worst design one. It's definitely not ALU ugly. Or ALP HD ugly, right? It's not a mishmash. It's just, to me, it was a big miss on the front. For some reason, AtGames has this design style. Like, I think the Star Trek design is actually pretty good, but again, the mishmash sides don't make any sense. I don't know why they wouldn't just put the same picture on each side. Why they think they have to make them different. But the they did the same thing with Star Trek. Gray art on one side, color art on the other. It didn't make any sense. And then when you do the Jurassic Park, you got this weird collage that's out of focus on one side, and you got this really good art on the other side. It just doesn't work. And then, of course, the leaves on the front is just ridiculous. Like, that's the one part you're actually going to be staring at all the time. Why would you not want dinosaurs all over that? But it is what it is. Not a fan. But the point is, it could be a million times better, and they need to start trying harder. And if they're going to release this thing, that's what it's going to take. Bring the marquee closer to the lips, slant to the front deck, lose the dizzy side art. Yeah, all things that it doesn't take a rocket science, right? But AtGames, PK, has to be willing to back off some of his things and let the thing be redesigned, because as it is, it's ugly. I almost bought the Sea of Thieves for the deal, but I'm so glad I got Attack from Mars in the end. Yeah, the Attack from Mars table is absolutely beautiful. It's honestly one I wish I bought, but I bought mine right out of the gate. Wish they'd have started with Attack from Mars. Let's see here. I thought the Gottlieb collage was good. Yeah, I mean, it's to each their own, right? But it's not. It's a multicade art, and I guess hey, if that's what you want, that's what you want. Me personally, I find the recreations a lot better. But I do. I would say the collage art is better than the KI art, right? I got one more question since we're talking about the ALU and AtGames products. You guys remember this? You guys remember this? Did you guys ever hear about this? The Legends Voyager? Yeah, put a 1 in the chat if you guys know what the Legends Voyager was, or is supposed to be. Apparently, yes, it's vaporware. But the Legends Voyager is supposed to be a handheld gaming system from AtGames that's capable of playing all their existing games and pinball packs. Supposed to support local streaming, BYOG, and have 50 games built in. So I don't think they ever showed this thing off. It was definitely publicized when they announced all their 4K line of products, but I don't think we've ever heard anything about this since then. So it was pretty interesting. I was like, I wonder what happened to that one too. That's a product that just kind of disappeared into the ether. And yes, V'ger. It is V'ger. Let's see. KFB says, Arcade 1-Up, Cyrus, if you're watching, please sell the Midway license to someone else that knows what they're doing. It's not fair to hold a license hostage and do nothing with it. Thanks, free MKXL. There you go. My hope, Zohar, is that that's the 1XL we get at Costco this year. But after the Midway Golden Tee thing, I don't hold out much hope. Yeah, light guns. They definitely got to add light guns to the AL, UHD, etc. Yeah, they had a racing cab. Yep, I think that goes back quite a ways. Scaredy Cat. I think the racing cab thing. I get why they didn't make that. That thing would have been really expensive or really crappy, right? So when you're talking about a good quality steering wheel, a good quality seat, you're going to be pushing over $1,000 for just that gear right away, unless you're making a kind of a cheap sit down thing like Arcade 1-Up did, and you'd be better off not making one at all at that point, which I think they probably figured out and abandoned. Zod Rider says yes. Yeah, the Golden Tee thing was a joke. It's pretty silly, but people still bought it because they wanted to collect these things. It says they announced it, then Buy Stuff released a kit 2 weeks later. Yeah. Don't forget about the butt blaster that looked like a squirt gun. I was gonna say, I hope you didn't mean butt blaster, the bit blaster. So yeah, I mean, it's just one of these things. Like, what do you guys think? Do you think Media 1-Up and AtGames should get together and have a 4K baby? Because I think it's literally one of the only things that can really help AtGames at this point. Like I said, I think the ALP 4K is awesome. I hope they sell 1 million of them. I hope they figure out a way to get more in people's homes. But I have a feeling that the pinball market itself isn't as big as what people think it is. And the virtual pinball market is even smaller. And then the market within that, how many are wanting to spend close to $1,500 or $2,000 to upgrade from the ALU HD? I don't know. I mean, it's pretty interesting. So it'll be interesting to see how that evolves. I have to, again, tip my hat like I did earlier in the month to AtGames for listening to the community and quickly coming out with some updates to address some key issues. Fortunately, those updates broke other things, but at least they addressed them. And they listened. They got that new support portal, which I don't know how you run support without having a portal, but at least they have one now. And Zero Redux with the $5 super chat says, if John D is watching, JC just gave you $1 million idea. Atari AtGames ALU 4K recharged. Maybe you can keep the purple lightning. Yeah, there you go. And yeah, I mean that AtGames 4K is perfect for the Asteroids recharge. and hell, all of the recharged games, right? You've got the Yar's Revenge, Missile Command, all of those should be staples on that ALU 4K. Can you imagine? And in doing so, we got somebody here that wants to thank you for your super chat there, Zero. That is, of course, none other than P-Dubs. Appreciate that. Thank you much. Yeah, we didn't even talk about Wonderland, right? You guys saw that amazing update to the prototype 2.0, looking so good. Wonderland may become a cash priority this year. It might be a bad timing for me on all the other products. Yeah, I mean, 2025 is looking like we had nothing in 2024. Everybody was building customs and doing other things. We got our ALPs. But man, this year it's stacking up between the Build-A-Cade FU, the Iconic Arcade, the Wonderland Amusements. There's some pretty exciting stuff coming out. Joe Cade says VPN market could be huge, but everyone is super priced crazy. Consumers on a budget just can't make it happen. Yeah, I think if you could, similar to what Arcade 1UP did with Walmart and NFM and some of these other places, if AtGames could get into some of these furniture stores that or gaming companies, like here in Kansas City, we have this place called Amini's Galleria, where a bunch of arcade companies sell, Stern sells, a bunch of multicades, higher end multicades sell. If you put the ALP in there, I'm sure they would sell a shit ton of them. And so, you know, AtGames, if they got into talks with places like NFM, places like, you know, Amini's Galleria, Family Leisure, every town has some of these companies, and worked out deals with them, get floor models with the SSF kit in there, they'd sell a shit ton of these. That was proven to me at Chicago, where AtGames was woefully underprepared and understocked. They should have loaded up a semi or a U-Haul with tons of these things and drove them out there instead of shipping one of each and watching them sell immediately and have nothing to show anybody. But that's just me. Darren, thanks for coming by. Appreciate that. Zod says 4K is a wasted on retro games. I'll never understand the logic. I'm with you. I'm totally with you. I don't understand why you would put a 4K monitor in a retro gaming console system. You know, some people insist on, hey, I'll be able to put my you know, PS5 and my Xbox 360 or my PC in there and play in 4K. And I'm just like, you know, the monitor is just not going to be very good, right? I doubt you're going to get an HDR10 monitor with really high refresh rate. It's not going to be great. It's going to be a very inexpensive monitor because of all the other stuff they're trying to sell you. It'll be adequate. It's not going to be terrible. You know, you think it's going to have like, you know, 10,000 nids or something where you get really black blacks. It's not going to have anything like that. There's just no way at that price they'll be able to do it. So chances are, if you're wanting to play modern arcade games like Street Fighter 6 and things like that in 4K, Tekken 8, Shredder's Revenge, all these things in 4K, you're better off doing that on your home TV, because I'm willing to bet you probably, being techies and video game fans like we all are, I'm willing to bet you spent a little more on your TV than AtGames is going to sell or put into the ALU 4K. And then if you're going to go in there and play Asteroids and Space Invaders and Donkey Kong and Killer Instinct 4K, like, you're not getting anything for that, right? You're not getting any bang for your buck. Heck, even what is that, Donut Dodo, right? 16-bit, you're getting nothing out of going to 4K on that. I get it adds a little more versatility, but I ask, you know, why again? Why? And let some of the people that understand, I think, a little more about what consumers are looking for, guide you, consult with you, I think you could hit a home run and change some of our minds. Yep, a dump full of them. The AL 4KP would likely be one of the cheapest products in a minis. It absolutely would be one of the cheapest products in a minis. But if it's at least the $2,000 version with all the SSF kit and everything, maybe they'd be more interested. Of course, we know that if AtGames puts it in a retail store, they're probably like they did with Kohl's, they're up in the price. But you know, it would be an opportunity to get it in front of the people that have the disposable income to buy it. And I think seeing it in person is it would make sales. It's something you have to see and experience to realize how good it is. I think there's a lot of people, a lot of men specifically, that dream of having a real pinball machine in their house. And seeing this versus a five or $4,000 or $5,000 virtual pinball would scratch the itch enough. I think really NFM is the right place, the right partner, and it's small enough. I don't know if AtGames has even talked to them, right? They have basically 4 or 5 locations all centrally located. Who knows if AtGames has even spoken to them? But it's places like that where that could really move some units where it will be on display for people to play. That TV comment is a distinct possibility. I won't deny it. Zod says exactly. It's not a product appropriate. I mean, let's be honest. AtGames has nerfed the ability to really BYOG. Anyway, yeah, that's the biggest concern, is that they're trying to squeeze an extra $100 out of people to do that, which is crazy. And can you imagine if you paid the extra $100 to BYOG and have access to your USBs on your ALP 4K, and then you just downloaded an update and it broke it? So I think a lot of people are in that boat right now. And if I had paid $200 extra for that privilege, I'd be pretty pissed. 100-inch, indeed. Take out the 4K 27-inch, put a 26-inch 4x3. Yeah, honestly, in my opinion, AtGames should go 4x3, should go 26-inch. If they even want to go bigger and one up everybody, they can go grab that 33-inch monitor. But go 4x3 with near full scale, right? Give us the XXL size or a little larger. Go near full size, and put a real arcade, design on the thing. And man, they'd sell 1 million of them. We'd all line up to buy them, right? If they chose the right one. I don't know. We'd all line up to buy another KI one because we've already seen those. But one of the other games they have licenses for, I think people would line up to buy them. But if they're dead set on sitting at the 16x9, lean into the Atari relationship. Go that direction. I'm sure Atari would love it. And remove the damn fees. Yeah, they gotta dump the fees. Israel Gaming says, tell me about it. I literally just got my ALU and it was already set with CoinOps 5.68 installed on it. And then my dumbass updated it. So I had to get another USB drive and another purchase to fix. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Is it still not safe to turn on the ALU? Honestly, I haven't turned mine on since the update came out. So I do not know. I just need to unhook everything. I've been waiting for a compelling new table to come out, which is soon. So if you want to use OTG, the forced update screws it up or something. So there have been people, Chris, that it's wiped out their USB drive. Other ones have reported like some control issues and stuff as a result with OTG. So there's quite a few issues. I don't think everybody was affected by it, but a great many people have reported. So it's probably not something that's easily fixed. AtGames has at least acknowledged the problem, but as of last I heard, there's no ETA on a resolution. Fourth Horseman says, I just never liked how the 4KP felt like, and I had a hard time following the ball sometimes with all those wild flashing colors. I haven't got to play it since the latency fix, though. Well, it's It's definitely plays a lot better. And if you got it with the SSF kit really helps with the immersion. It's really damn good. But I get what you're saying. I mean, it takes a certain kind of I can see where you're trying to trick your brain into seeing a three-dimensional table in a two-dimensional space, and it's not exactly always effective, right? Let's see here. I haven't turned mine on since I heard about it. Yeah, same. That's where I'm at. Haven't turned mine on either. I'm all set now. I got the 570 update, but I had to buy another coin ops. Luckily, it was on sale for about $40 when they usually run about 80, but all fixed. I know better now not to update my ALU. There you go. Mike Hawkhurt says 4KP is the best products AtGame has done. I totally agree. Sadly, that is saying very little. Meatball Slice said exactly that to the AtGames engineer lead about SSF almost 3 years ago now. Indeed. So I think that's it. I kind of just wanted to talk about that. I think the ALU 4K kind of fell into oblivion, and I was really kind of interested, like, hey, in all likelihood, given the state of things right now, it's probably never going to see the light of day. But if there's a way to make it see the light of day, and in a way that will be successful for AtGames, I think it would behoove them to either do a whole lot of market research and get in front of your hardcore audience and show them many different things, hear from them what they actually want instead of just assuming you know what they want, and design it around that. Or better yet, hire a contractor or a consulting company that can help you get there without all that research, because that's what they do. I just think that would be wise. And if you've got to make one because you're contractually obligated or rare to make one, you really should do that so that you can have success. So I wanted to thank everybody for dropping by tonight. Always appreciate it. It's always fun to hang out on Saturday. Um, I don't know if anybody's playing any kind of golf or anything tonight or hanging out in chat or what's going on, but I'll be looking around for one of those things. I hope to see you there. And again, thanks everybody for watching. Have a great night. And you know what we do here. Until next time, have fun.